Well, good evening and welcome to day 3 of Debt Free in 2023. This is our 3-day challenge, and this is day 3 of our challenge, and I'm really excited. We've got some good momentum going on our first night. Cynthia Fortune, she was on and she set a wonderful foundation with talking about credit. And last night, Pastor Cliff was on and he talked to us about that foundation that we need to have if we're going to live that debt-free life. And in both cases, and I want you to realize that everything that we're doing here has a biblical foundation. And I know that most of the people watching are believers. And even if you're not a believer, whether you realize it or not, most of the principles of successful people, you can find them in Scripture. And the first night when Cynthia was talking to us about credit and helping us get our credit lives in order, the Bible talks about that. The Bible says that a good name is rather to be chosen than riches. A good name, you choose a good name over riches. A lot of people want to choose riches over a good name. But here's the catch. If you have a good name, you can get riches. What does it mean to have a good name? Having a good name has to do with being credible, being believable. So if you say you're going to do something, everyone trusts that you will do it. Good credit. You're being trustworthy. I can trust you to pay back what's lent. But when you don't pay as you promise, when you don't pay as agreed, then it begins to mess with your credibility or your credit, and you lose credibility or your credit score goes down. And then Pastor Cliff talked to us about that foundation, and he gave us the legacy principle, the legacy strategy rather. And that is so critical for believers, for us to understand the legacy strategy, because the Bible says in Proverbs 13:22, it says that a good person leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So as believers, we're supposed to think generationally. We're not supposed to just think about me and mine. And that's one of the problems. He mentioned it, and I want to reemphasize that. That's one of the problems that we tend to, as a people, celebrate starting from scratch, pulling ourselves up from our bootstraps. And so I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. And so I think that the next generation is supposed to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. No, they are supposed to start much farther ahead. They're supposed to, they talk about starting on the shoulders of others. And so where we end is where our children are supposed to start. And by thinking generationally, we are being what the Bible calls good people, because we're leaving an inheritance to our children's children. Pastor Cliff, it's good to have you on tonight. It's good to have you back. You've been so faithful each night, and you've obviously brought a crew with you. And I see you greeting some people. Apparently, you're on Facebook, and so you can see people, Pastor Cliff, that I can't see. So I'm going to say hi to Roro, since I can't see Roro, but you see her. Tammy. Hi, Tammy. Martha Lee Robinson, you have been here every night, and I'm glad to see you back. Sister Carolyn Livingston, it's good to see you. I need some folk on there to just send me a greeting. Post me a greeting in your name. Just send something saying hello to me. Or if anything, just type in your commitment. Debt free in 2023. I'm excited, and I want you to be excited too. But this is about more than excitement. This is about us imparting knowledge to you, so that you will have something, that you can work with as we move forward to being debt free. Lola, good evening. Lamar, good evening. That's right, debt free in 2023. Debt free in 2023. Now, I'm excited about tonight, because tonight Here's my issue. Here's my problem. If I want to get out of debt, and right now, if all of my money is going to paying all of my bills, how do I get the money that I need to pay off my debt? Because if I'm taking everything that I have to pay bills, how do I put a dent in this? I need more money if I'm going to pay off my bills. Anybody feel like that? Anybody feel like that? Somebody talk to me if you feel like that. I need some more money if I'm going to pay off my bills, because the money I have, all the money I have right now is going to my debt. All the money that I have is going to my debt. So I need some more money. My cash, they talk about cash flow. My cash ain't flowing. I need my cash. I need some cash that can flow. Well, we have a person here tonight that's going to answer that question. That's going to help us get an answer to that and help us find the money that we need.
All right.
Priscilla Harold, I'm so excited to see you.
And so am I. I'm excited. The past 2 nights were great. And I think that we all have determined that we would like to be debt free in 2023. So that's right. Yes.
That's what they're telling. That's what they're declaring on here. That's what they're writing in here.
Right.
We're going to be debt free.
Yes. In 2023.
Yes.
And so, that is a big commitment. So there's some steps that we have to make to fulfill a commitment like that. One thing.
Let me ask the question. I know where you're getting ready to go, but let me put the question on the table.
Okay.
Where do we get the money from to pay off the debt so that I can be debt free in 2023?
We are going to establish a spending plan. And that is the commitment that we have to make, because we know we're changing behavior. So that spending plan will give us the discipline to do the things that we need to do. So the purpose of that spending plan is to determine where your income is and where your indebtedness are. So when we know where we're going, we'll know, and we will be motivated to do the steps that are necessary to be able to have that additional income. And I think by the time we end tonight, we will see some areas where we will be able to have extra income that we don't even realize that we have. Because basically we think of our fixed expenses. And, that's our housing, our car notes.
Hang on, slow down for me. So you say the spending plan, we need a spending plan. And so you say the spending plan, that's going to help us see where our money's going. That's going to help us identify where our money's going. So in other words, we're not going to, by the end of tonight, we should have a way to make sure that we're not wondering where our money went. We're knowing where it's going.
That is correct. We will know where it's going.
Okay.
Because
So
we will.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
I know you're excited, Pastor, to get us there. But yes, we will start with our fixed income. And that's the thing that we know. We just kind of rolled off the top of our head. We know we pay for our housing, whether that's our rent or our mortgage, with the basic electricity, transportation, babysitting services. Those are the things that we know about. But we're spending other monies that we aren't even conscious of our spending. Most of us are not. If I ask tonight, how much do you spend each month? Probably very, very few would know that, because we do not have systems in place to determine that. So tonight we are discussing a spending plan, so we will know exactly where our monies are going, so that we will then have some money to move forward in 2023. So in that spending plan, we have, once we have our fixed expenses, we then also have our periodic expenses. And that's property taxes, insurance on cars, renter's insurance. We have those type of things. We have car repairs. Those are the periodic expenses that we incur. Then we have the variable expenses. That's our food, school lunches, child care, medical. That's the doctor. That's the dentist. That's all of those things that we spend money on. And then we have the clothing. Those are the kind of items that we don't put much thought into. We kind of just spend out of habit. So we are changing those habits. So that laundry, the dry cleaning that we do, a lot of those items on that say that we can actually wash them. We have other things, our education, that's the tuitions. That's the different activities that our children are involved in at school. We have our donations, and at the top of our donations is our tithe. We have gifts, and I think that our gifts, that's one place we can definitely save money, because we're accustomed to making sure that we buy a gift for someone that's just as big as the one that they have given us. But we can use our talents. So many of us have talents. We bake. We sew, we do pottery, and really, people really appreciate those gifts even more than something you would go to the store and put on your credit cards. So that's one of the main areas that we will be discussing with the credit cards.
Now, let me ask you this question. You're telling us to go through with this spending plan. Now, and we're going to post this spending plan on this sheet. We're going to post this worksheet on the Facebook page, in the Facebook group. You're telling us to fill this out. Last night, Pastor Cliff told us to take a notepad and write out everything that we're spending money on, because one of the things that'll happen is when I go to the gas station and pump gas, and if I walk inside the gas station and if I buy a drink and some chips or some coffee or whatever, that's not on there. That's not on this necessarily. It should be on here, right? It should be on here because it's a variable expense, but there are little things that we're spending money on. So that'll help us to know, because you want us to do this basically by the month, correct?
Right, that is correct, yes.
Okay, so having that, whether it's a pad like Pastor Cliff mentioned, or whether it is an app like Sister Ann mentioned. Sister Ann mentioned, we have apps on our phone now. We can take our phone and with the various apps, we can keep a record of what we're spending. Or you can, because most of you use your debit cards,
right.
You can go on your bank statement at the end of the month. You can put the parameters in for your bank statement and the date, for 30 days, and see what came out of your banking account. And if they're recording your debit charges, then you're seeing what you spent money on. You spent,
right.
Wow, I spent $4 here. What did I spend that $4 for? Whatever. And those little bits add up. So here's what we're saying. In order to get a handle on things, you need to go through what she's passing, what we're going to make available to you. And you need to put in there, we know you're going to put in there your mortgage. We know you're going to put in there your rent if you're doing that, and your utility bill and things like that. But you've got to make sure that you're recording even the small things, from your dry cleaning to your payment, because we've got to know where our money's going. That's what
our money. Yes. And even the entertainment, it's really just actually looking at what you're doing, because that's something we unconsciously do. After we pay our major bills, our fixed bills, the rest of it, out of habit, we just spend until it's gone. So this way we're taking control of our life. We're taking control of our finances. And with this commitment that we've made, we have in mind that we plan to be debt free in 2023. So therefore, some of the things that we're spending money on, we just know that we will not. Now, you mentioned the check, your checking account and all. That's one way a credit card can be used, is to monitor your spending also. If you designate one or two cards, then it's so easy to go back to them and see where you spent your monies.
And actually, I guess I was thinking of a debit card. That way we're not, doing a credit card in terms of creating interest, because a debit card, you're only
You're spending your own money.
You're spending your own money as opposed to
Yeah.
using a credit card, to just spend and potentially creating interest on a $1.95 piece of candy or something like that.
That's true. However, if you're one of those that are disciplined enough to pay your credit cards at the end of each month, then you will not incur that interest because you will be paying it off. And that is one of the habits that we would like to get into, is paying it off. That way we're still only spending what we have. So yes, that is one way of doing that. So once we do that, there are some other systems in place. Someone mentioned over the last 2 nights about different ways to take those bills after you've looked at them and you've determined which ones that, when you've eliminated the debt that you can eliminate.
Let's back up because I know where you're going, but I think we need to address something in between.
Okay.
So after we get the spending plan, and after that lets us know where we've spent our money, the question is, how do I get, if this is all the money I have and I'm spending all of this money, how do I, without having to go get another job up front, how do I get more money? Or where is this extra money coming from?
This extra money is coming from, I think Pastor Cliff mentioned that excessive spending that we do. And I don't remember the exact term that he used.
He called it
destructive. What was it?
He called it destructive.
Destructive, yes. And that's the way we have to look at it, that it's destructive. It's usually something that's satisfying us because, we go spend when we feel bad, when we're entertaining, it's comforting to us. So we eliminate some of that comfort and know that we're looking at the big picture to be able to be debt free. But then we can take that money that we have been using thoughtlessly and use that to pay down a credit card, or use that to eliminate debt altogether.
Mm-hmm. So when Pastor Cliff was telling us last night about the person that he had the appointment, but they kept canceling, and it ultimately they felt like, well, I don't have any money to buy insurance or to invest or whatever. And he said, let's sit down and look at this. And he said, when they looked at it, they found out that they had money. They just had, it was destructive, it was unnecessary spending.
Right, exactly.
So this spending plan makes us look at our money.
Yes,
right?
It does.
And that's
we review it.
Okay.
We review it on a monthly basis. We look at that when we figure that out. We do that on a monthly basis, and we should see it improve month by month, because everything from eliminating the debt to then being conscious of your spending. So it's a reminder. It's that it helps you to manage. Really, you're learning to manage your money. Is what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It's a system for managing your money. And
I hope I'm talking to my audience right now. I hope you all are really paying attention, because our real objective is to help you be debt free in 2023. We're trying to give you some very clear, simple, and precise steps so that you can be, because we believe in prayer. But while we believe in prayer, we're not just praying. We're working the plan that God gives us to get out of debt, so that we can be debt free. And so we have our financial prophets, and they're telling us In the same way, Elisha told that woman to go through your house and see what you have. And she was able to come back and say, I have some oil in my house. It's just a little, but I have some oil. So Priscilla is telling us to go through our finances and see how we're spending it so that we can come back and we can say, I'm spending, you call it fixed expenses? That's what you called it.
Fixed expenses. That's the ones that we have no other choice.
Okay. So these are my fixed expenses.
Right.
But the other expenses are the ones that I can look at that aren't necessary, that aren't necessarily necessary.
Right.
And some of them are even destructive.
Yes.
And so when I eliminate those, I will find out that I have more money than I thought I had. Is that what you're telling me, Priscilla?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. And you would really be surprised at how much more you have. I mean, you have enough to really, what you save in eliminating some debt could actually pay off some credit cards.
Wow.
When you really sit down there and look at it, when you think about the entertainment, and we have satisfied ourselves during, let's say during COVID time, we have spent a lot of extra money to keep us sane, to keep our children engaged. Mm-hmm. And now it's time to take a look at those again. And to just is this really necessary? Do we really need this? You know, the cable bills. I mean, you know, most of us have, some people have so many channels that you don't even watch them. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind, I mean, $300 and $400 a month is a lot to pay for a cable bill. So just think about if you split that in half, that's $200 that could go toward paying off a credit card. So those are the kind of things that you do, and it's no one can tell you to do that. If you were sitting with me doing budget counseling, I would not tell you to do that. But just by virtue of you being conscious of your spending, you would know that, oh, I could do without that. And
now, when you say I would not tell you to do that, what you're saying is that I won't tell you to cut your cable bill, but hopefully you will look at it and make okay.
Right, because we're consciously spending now and not doing out to feel better, to make us feel better.
Okay, so
the ultimate goal for most people is to feel better. And we will feel better when we are free of debt, when we can take that money and turn it around and eliminate the debt. And that's what you are telling us to do. Eliminate that debt. Then we can be free. We can free our minds. We can have other activities to do that. We don't have to take the money to do it. We can get out and be outside again.
Okay.
Spend time with family.
So you're telling us we have more money than we think we have, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And Pastor Cliff last night, he told us in that story about the person that had more money than they thought they had.
Right.
And so everybody out there, you have more money than you think you have. You have more money than you think you have, but it starts with looking at your spending. I need somebody I need 3 people to type in the comment, I am going to look. That's all I want you to, I am going to look, meaning you are going to look at your spending. Come on, because if you're going to be debt free, you need to make the commitment to do the steps. It's not, you don't get debt free from watching us for 3 nights. You don't get debt free from simply paying or praying. You're going to get debt free by taking the steps. And one of the ways you're going to start is by looking at your spending. I need one more person. Come on, somebody else tell me. Thank you. Is it Nastasia? Is that correct? Nastasia Hicks, thank you. Come on, let me just have a few more people. Come on, tell me you're going to look. I need the commitments. I am going to look. They're telling us, Priscilla, they're letting us know that they're going to look at their finances. That's what you want them to do. And when they look at their finances, you want them to identify what is, I'm going to use the term again. Your term is fixed fixed expenses, right?
Yes.
And those, tell us again what the fixed expenses are.
Fixed expenses would be your mortgage, would be your utilities, your transportation, your child care, those things that you have to do in order to maintain your home, your lifestyle. Not your lifestyle, but your home, the things that are necessary for survival, basically. The things that we have to have.
And after we look, then we want to, I guess, put in two categories. What's necessary,
Mm-hmm.
what's fixed,
Mm-hmm.
what we have to have,
Mm-hmm.
and what is, can I say, by choice?
You can, but you could also say your needs and your wants.
Okay,
the things that you need for survival and the things that you want.
Okay, needs and wants.
Needs and wants, yes.
Okay, needs and wants.
Yes.
So that extra pair of shoes, if my shoes I'm wearing don't have a hole in it, they're a want.
That's a want, yes. Yes.
If I'm just trying to match my belt, if I'm trying to find some shoes to match my belt.
Right, that's a want.
I might need to take that money and pay down on a credit card, right?
Right. So, pay down on that credit card that you charge the bill on. Yes, yes. That's what we're going to do.
So we're going to separate after we find out where we're spending our money, what's necessary, what are needs, and what are wants. And then after we find out what are wants, when we go through that want list, which can be, some is unnecessary spending, some is wasteful spending, and some is even destructive spending. We take that money, we will find that we actually have extra money.
Extra money, yes.
We have more.
We want to revisit that. We want to revisit that at least on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
Because by that time we will have changed some habits. Okay. So we want to revisit that at least every quarter to see that we're still on task.
Okay. So you're saying that as we get a little bit more discipline, Tiffany uses the term discipline. So we may start out one way, but as we get more disciplined, we actually may find out that we have more money than what we really thought, because our discipline has changed. That is great. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Priscilla. Now, Martha Lee Robinson, I see your question. And you are taking us to a whole nother place. And so, Brother Bobby, I want you to hold Sister Martha Lee Robinson's question, because we don't want to ignore it, but it is critical. It is actually something that I've been thinking about in terms of, because we talk about finances, we got to talk about couples, and everybody brings a different background, a different perspective, different experiences and what have you. And it's something that needs to be addressed. But we're going to stay where we are right now. But Brother Bobby, don't let us lose Sister Martha Lee Robinson's question.
Okay.
So, Priscilla, okay, once I find out I may have a little extra money, now what do I do to start paying off my debt?
Now we're going to, again, another system is to determine whether we want to take that largest interest, the highest interest rate bill, credit card, whatever that is, and start paying that down. You pay that down, and once that's paid, you move it to the next bill. Okay. So you make a decision how you're going to do it.
Let me interrupt you, because that's called the debt avalanche, right?
That's correct. Yes. Okay.
So they can see the form on the screen. So explain how, with this form, and this is one of those forms too, we're going to post on the Facebook group page, the debt avalanche. Tell us how this debt avalanche works.
Right. Remembering that we have put our bills out there. We are aware of what we have. So we're going to identify that debt, the one that has the highest interest rate. Because remember that high interest rate, if you lower that, that's money back. So that's part of the money that's coming back. So we identify the debt with the highest interest rate, with the minimum payment amount. So then we take that, we go through that process during the whole time until that particular debt is paid off. But you will have listed all of those higher interest debts. And it feels so good when you have a big accomplishment that you've paid off that big credit card that they increased the limit, and you thought it was just nice to have the limit, but you've met that limit. So now you're seeing that $5,000, $10,000 that they increased from $2,000 to $3,000, that now that debt is gone, and you can take that money and roll it over to the next highest interest. Remembering that each time you do that, you are increasing your income, actually, because you're not paying that interest to someone else. So that's the one that you probably feel more excited about, because it seemed to be happening faster. And that gives you an opportunity to move from one to the next, and you go through that whole process until all of those debts are paid off.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to post that online. We're going to post the Debt Avalanche plan online, along with the spending plan online, so that all of everyone that's attached, we want you to go through the list your debts.
List your debts, right?
Put the interest rates. First of all, you have to list all your debts. You have to know your interest rate, and you have to do your minimum payments. And so then once you do that, then you list your debts with the highest interest rate. Number one would be the highest interest rate. Number two would be the second highest interest rate. Number three, on and on. And so then you pay off you take that extra money that you found. You add it to that minimum payment that you're doing. And then you pay off that high interest rate. And then let's just say the first bill was that first debt, you're paying $30 a month. Let's say you found $200. So now you're paying $230. You don't want to take that $200 and go spend it somewhere. You already spent it. You've recaptured it. You gained it back. You want to take that and you want to add it to the 30. You want to pay $230 on that debt, and you want to, once that debt is paid off, you want to take that $230 and add it to the minimum payment of the other one. Let's just say the other one was $230. So now this next bill, you're paying $260. So you're getting it paid off that much quicker. And then you take that $260 when it's paid off and you add it to the next bill. And that's how you accelerate off, and that's how you're going to be debt free at the end of 2023. That's one way of being debt free at the end of 2023.
Right.
Now I said that's one way. You mind if I tell them the other way, the second option?
Feel free. Yes, sir. we want to give them choices. Yes.
Okay. The second option for being for paying off your debt is something called the Debt Snowball. One's the Debt Avalanche. The Debt Avalanche, with the Debt Avalanche, you pay off the highest interest rate first. With the Debt Snowball, you pay the smallest bill first. You pay it off. Now, here's the catch with that. And I'm sorry that you all can't see this very well, but again, we're going to put this on the The first one is a credit card that has a balance of $797. What you're doing is you have your credit cards listed by the amount, the smallest amount to the largest amount. Well, not just credit cards, but all your credit. You pay off the smallest one first. And then you take that money and you roll it over to pay off the next one. And then you take all of that money and you roll it over to pay off the next one. And if you look at this plan here, so when you download this, you'll be able to actually fill this out with your credit cards, your balances, your minimum payment, and the interest rate. And it will do the calculations for you. All you have to do is fill out the top part. You fill out the balance, the minimum payment, and the interest rate. And then it will take care of calculating all that for you. And this particular plan right here has the paying off in 17 months. And that will mean that if you started next month, you'd be finished in December 2023. Now, let's do this because we want to make sure, Priscilla and I want to make sure you got this. If you have any questions, ask your questions. If you need any clarity, let's do that. Send us your questions, send us your comments or whatever, because we want to know that you're getting this. We want to know that you're not just making, that you're not just that we haven't lost you. It's important to us that you understand. We're giving you two different plans that you can operate, the Snowball or the Avalanche. You pick the one that you think suits you best. Different people like different ones. Priscilla likes the one where you pay off the high interest rate first. And a lot of people like paying off the high interest rate first because you're spending more money in interest. I like the one where you pay off the smallest bill first because sometimes you can pay off that smallest bill in the first 2-3 months and you feel like you've accomplished something. You feel like, oh, wow, it's kind of like, to me, it's like weight loss. If you get on the scale and if you've been dieting for 2-3 weeks and the scale hadn't moved, then you're subject to just go in there and get some ice cream and a hamburger and get some French fries and might put some ice cream on the French fries. You're so frustrated. But to me, and that's just to me, with the Debt Snowball, if I can see a bill moved, or if I can see a bill cut in half quickly, it kind of gives me some incentive. But you need to do what you feel works for you. We're going to put both of them online, the Debt Snowball and the Debt Avalanche. And you pick the one that works. But the idea, in order for this to work for you, it won't work unless you work it, right? It won't work unless you work it. What do you have to say to them, Priscilla?
No, I was just thinking about the example that you gave about the little bit at a time and the victory. And I'm the one that want to see a dress size change, that not to get on the scale every day or once a week, but to actually wait until you can move to a new dress size.
Okay.
So when you have those big victories and celebrate it, and then you tell everyone about it, everyone gets excited about it, like we're going to do at church when we do our Facebook gathering, that we will have those testimonials each week, and that encourages each other. So when we're excited, we share that excitement, and then we become a church and a community that's debt free, and we can do so many other things to help our families and our community. So yes, so that was what I was thinking. I want it big. I want it big and exciting. So
So whichever way you want it, whether you want it big and exciting or whether you want it in baby steps, we want you to work this. You made the commitment. They made us a commitment. They were going to look, right? They told us, Priscilla, that they were going to look at their spending.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, they're going to know what's fixed. They're going to know what's extra that they can pull and begin to pay on their debt plan. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to be here for you. That's why we have the Facebook page. If you haven't joined the Facebook page, join the Facebook page. We're going to be here for you. We're going to be helping each other and supporting each other. And so, any questions? Are we doing such a good job explaining that we don't have any questions? Anything, Bobby, from your end? Any thoughts or anything you want to add or anything you want to prompt or whatever?
Yeah, I just want to say that, it's very important for all of us to really take an honest assessment as to what we're doing with our money, how we're spending that money, and then take the steps to act on this plan to ensure that we not only see where our money is going, but make real honest decisions and conscious decisions about every dollar, every penny that we have, that we are in control of it. We always try to be in control of our lives in so many aspects, and we want to do all these different things in life. But when it comes to money, we tend to not really take our money that seriously. And it's very important that we take very seriously where our dollars are going so that we can control what happens to our future financially. So I just want to encourage everyone out there to please take a look at what we have to offer here. Please ask the questions. We want to get all of the information to you as best we can. We want to communicate to you candidly the things that you can do right now, simple, step-by-step things that you can do to increase your financial freedom, because that's what it's all about. So we don't want anything from you other than for you to be financially free, to be debt free, and so that you can celebrate that and teach your children how you were able to do that so that they don't fall into the same traps that the system has available, for them to fall into. So we have to get disciplined. We have to get motivated and focused on what our goals are financially, and then pass that on to our children as well. So thank you, Sister Priscilla. I really appreciate what you've been doing. I thank Pastor Cliff and Sister Cynthia as well for giving us some tangible tools that we can use to really, really rein in where we're spending and eliminate things that we don't need to do, and then take that money and redirect it where we need to plan it so that it can grow into financial freedom. So keep it up. Let's keep going.
And I think any one of us would be willing to assist you one-on-one. If it seems too complicated, it's really very basic. It's just the discipline. But if you needed some assistance, I know that I would, and I'm sure Pastor Cliff and Cynthia would do the same thing. Is that one-on-one? Because a lot of times it's hearing it and then processing it. Once you leave tonight, you'll process it. You look at 3 or 4 sheets of paper. It's something else for you to fill out and something else for you to keep up with. But just think about it. When we're working for someone, we do this for someone. We're paid for doing it. If you're in the bank, you're balancing money. You're making sure that every penny is accounted for. So you have a lot of responsibilities that we do that for others. We just need to do that for ourselves. We need to love ourselves just as much as we care for the others. So yeah, it's really simple. And I'm going to say that where it doesn't sound like it, but it really is simple. And we can help you feel the same way about it.
Pastor Cliff mentioned, he started out last night about paying yourself 20%. And for some, that seems like an unimaginable goal. But if we will look at our money, and if we will take charge of it, as opposed to letting our money work for other people. And he also said something else. He talked about how invasive it is when you go to the dentist. You're standing there with your mouth, you're laying there with your mouth open.
Yes.
Or when you're going to the doctor for physicals, and we allow that invasion for our physical health. But when it comes to our finances, which is generational, we don't we don't allow that. You know, we're too ashamed. We're too embarrassed. And so Priscilla's saying she's available. Clifton's saying he's available. Cynthia is available. And so we have to take what we've received from all 3 nights, what we've received tonight, what we received last night, what Cynthia told us on Sunday night, because she talked to you about some things. You remember the things she talked to you all about when you have good credit, that you may be able to get a interest-free period, you know, an introductory rate, a 12-month period or a 6-month period where you can pay with no interest. So you may want to take one of those high interest loans that you're paying 19% on and turn it to 0% if you're going to pay it off in 12 months. And how much money will you be saving just by doing that? But that means, you know, so you're taking one of these plans that Priscilla and I presented tonight, but if you've taken what you've learned on Monday night, then you can pay off even quicker because you're not paying the interest. So everything that we've shared all 3 nights is connected. And so if you did not see Sunday night, oh, you got to see it. If you did not see last night, you got to see it. And everything is being posted on the Facebook page. And the videos, you can go back on YouTube and watch them as well. And we're doing this to cause there to be a change in your life, because I want you to live. But, you know, I grew up hearing folk talking about quoting Jesus. I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. But what is the abundance of life? And then I watch folk act like being saved means being poor, not being poor, being poor. And then it's like we don't know what to think about money. And then worse, we don't talk to our children about it. We don't teach them about it. We don't learn anything in school about it. All we learn is how to count. And so we learn from experiences, and many times those experiences are failures. And so let's take what we're learning. Let's shift our lives, and then let's change the lives of our children so that they start much higher than where we started. Because many of you grew up in homes where it was either a whisper or a yell. When they talked about money, they were either whispering, or when they talked about money, they were either yelling. And it needs to be something that there's right conversation about, because we don't want our children to grow up slaves to the system, because the Bible says that the borrower is slave to the lender. The borrower is slave to the lender. Anything else you want to share, Priscilla, before we get ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, I had several thoughts that came, and it's like, is that appropriate? But thinking again, right now, a lot of focus is on creating wealth in our own community, in the Black community, because we're losing it. We're losing it on a daily basis. And the things that our parents have acquired, the things that our grandparents have acquired, that for some reason, most of us have no interest in it. It reminds you of working too hard. It reminds you that that is old. You know, our young people really have very little interest in what has been built before. And you start telling the stories, and really they watch you, and if you aren't paying close attention, they're behind you repeating it because you said it to them so many times. So, but that is what we need to look at. Every move that we make with money, we need to think about, what are we contributing to our generation to be passed to the next and the next. And the hardships that we've had, we don't want our children to go through the same thing, because we're learning, and we want them to be able to listen and to see the habits. They're watching us also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of not being a saver, I know for me and my family, we were not big. I was raised by a single parent, and she did a great job at us surviving and having what we needed. But savings was not something we talked about. So even when there are times when I have had large sums of money and I look back at it, I really was a poor manager of monies. So when I had an opportunity to share this in the capacity that I work in on a day-to-day basis, it is so much that I have learned. I mean, I may have known it intellectually, but not knowing it as a fact to live by. So when we're making these plans, let's think about our children, and let's think about the things that we can clean up. Make sure that we're leaving. Well, Pastor Cliff kind of hit on last night about, leaving things in order, having a will, those type of things, and make sure that we don't fight. We don't have to get an attorney to split the little bit that we have because we can't agree on it as a family. So every move that we make, let's consider our families too, that we are building this for us to be comfortable, but most importantly, for us to leave an inheritance for our children. So as we walk through this, I think that's one main thing that we need to keep in mind, that we're changing things. Yeah. Not only are we being debt free in 2023, we want our children, the student loans, for them to get good grades so they don't have to have a student loan. If they have those disciplines in place, you don't have to have a student loan. So all of those things come under the same umbrella of just us becoming the best, to being the best that we can possibly be.
Yes.
So let's think of all those things as we go through this exercise.
And one of the things, Priscilla, that we did not address is that your heart is helping people become homeowners. Mm-hmm. And what you do many times is toward helping people be prepared so that they can qualify for home loans. That's why you deal with them with their credit and things of that nature. And when we look in the scripture, what God promised us is land. Mm-hmm. God promised land. Are you bringing me a question?
Did you answer Martha's?
Yes, we're going to get to Martha's question. Everybody's helping me. Sister Martha, everybody loves you. Everybody's reminding me about your question. And I haven't forgotten. What God promised us is land. And you all do not know it. Pastor Apostle Peter Barnes, come over here and stick your face over here at the face and show everybody. I'm sitting here in my office with me right now is Apostle Peter Barnes from Cape Town, South Africa. And we
know you.
And one of the things that I want to mention, when I first went to South Africa and I went to the townships, I saw the people living in the shanties. But then I saw places where there would be a shanty, but then there would be a big house next to the shanty. And that was off in my mind because I guess in our American culture, when you do better, you move to a better neighborhood. And I started to ask the question, why is this nice house next to this little metal shanty? And I found out it was because they own the land. And one of the things that's valuable to them that they put a greater value on than we do is land. So even if all they have is a little shanty, they will concrete that floor, they will concrete a walkway, and you'll see them in the morning out cleaning that concrete to that little shanty because they own the land, that little piece of land. And they have a concept of something, because in my mind, when I went, Apostle Barnes, I'm seeing all these people in shanties, and I'm thinking, why don't they build an apartment? Because that's the American thinking. Build an apartment and put all these people in these. No, they want the land. That's what they understand, the land. And it goes back to a sense of tribalism, right? This is our land. And we miss that. We've become so Americanized that, and Priscilla said something, I thought she was going there. Many of you, your great-great-grandparents or great-grandparents or even grandparents owned land when they came out of slavery. But because people were moving away, they were migrating north and what have you, the taxes weren't paid. And the land was seized, and we have given up so much land as a people.
Yes.
And it's time now for us to claim the promise, because, there are a whole lot of investments, but let me tell you something, God is not making any more land. God's made all the land he's going to make.
Yes.
And so we need to consider that as an investment. And so you need to contact Priscilla. You need to contact Pastor Cliff and contact Cynthia, because these people are here as resources for us, Now, I want to say this. Tomorrow, we're doing a bonus day. And on tomorrow, Cynthia is going to be here with Priscilla. The three of us are going to be here, and we're going to be here to answer questions. Credit, housing, whatever it is you have, or if you know some people that have questions about things, or if you need to have some things reiterated to you, or some things clarified or cleared up, or after you, like she said, after you process what we've given tonight. So I want you to be here tomorrow, 7 o'clock. And we've been doing everything within an hour. I'm so proud of us for doing that. 7 o'clock, bonus day, our 3-day challenge, because we want you to have every piece of equipment we can give you in this short period of time. And then we're going to stay connected. We're going to stay connected on the Facebook group. Now, let me say this. In doing marriage counseling, one of the things that happens in counseling couples, I usually go through financial sessions with them, and I have them do a budget. I talk about the fact that they come from different households and they probably have different spending habits. And usually, isn't it amazing how somebody's usually a spender and somebody's usually a saver, and those opposites seem to attract. And there was a time when under traditional systems that some things were automatic, but now you have to ask couples, are you all going to combine checking accounts? You're going to have your own checking accounts? What are you going to do about paying bills? Are you all, some couples said they're going to create an account where they each put money in to pay the bills from there. Some say, well, I'll pay this and I'll pay the other. And there's really no right and wrong about that. It's what a couple agrees to. And so what's critical is that the Bible says, how can two walk together except they be in agreement? There was a time when it was like, well, I'm the man, I handle the finances. Well, in truth, in some cases, women do a better job of handling finances. So it has nothing to do with your gender. It has to do with your family. Don't you want the best for your family? And if she has a better handle on that, or if she knows if when you're handling it, if you the man, but if when you handle it, you forget to write the checks, and if she's good at that, then let her do that. But it's a matter of coming into agreement. And the Bible says you submit one to another, and submission coming under the mission. So that means that you as a couple should have a mission, and you should have a mission with regard to your finances. And whatever you all agree, whatever you all decide on, you agree on it, and you work to make that happen together. So, and we can go more into that, but I appreciate you bringing that up. And this is something that probably because we're going to have some refresher sessions in our in our group, in our Debt Free in 2023 group. And so we may be needing to address some of that when we talk about finances with couples, and answer some things and address some things because that had been on my mind. So thank you, Sister Martha, for bringing that up. I need you all to do something. Let's do what we do every night before we get ready to close. I need you all, this is our closing. I need you all to put in there Debt Free in 2023. Come on, let's make that commitment. It's time for us to make that commitment before we leave tonight. We are at 7:59 Central Time, 8:59 Eastern Time. It is 5:59 on Pacific Time, where Brother Bobby is. So wherever you are, come on. Debt Free in 2023. That's our declaration. And we've given you the tools. We've given you the tools to get started. Debt Free in 2023. Now, it may take us what, 30 minutes, 60 minutes to get all this stuff online, Brother Bobby? the documents. We have 3 documents, so we're going to post on the Facebook page. And actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to overstretch. We're going to put them on the Facebook page. So if you have not joined the Facebook page, go to Facebook, search for Debt Free in 2023. And when you search for Debt Free in 2023, you'll see the image that we've been using. Join up for the Facebook group. And when you join up for the Facebook group, we want you to share your testimonies, ask your questions. If you have some tips, share tips. Let's help each other. Let's encourage each other. We're doing this as a community.
Yes.
Because, see, that's one of the reasons that God wants us to be wealthy. God doesn't want us to be wealthy just for singular purposes. God wants us to be wealthy so that we can advance the kingdom, so that we can be lenders and not borrowers. He wants us to be wealthy so that we can leave an inheritance to our children's children. He wants us to be wealthy so that we can impact our communities. The wealth belongs to the Lord, and he wants his children to have it. But we have relegated it to the people of the world. We have sat back and watched, and we've heard the scripture, the wealth will be transferred to the righteous, and we think we'll be righteous. We just keep waiting on it to come to us, but he says when we're faithful in little, he'll make us faithful in much. So we're learning to be faithful in little. We're looking at our money. We're taking good care of it. We're not making other people rich. God's given us the power to get wealth. So we're going to be wealthy so that we can be debt free.
Yay.
23. Listen, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night just for a short time. We just want to answer questions. And if you feel like you have all of your questions answered, I still want to invite you to tune in, because somebody may ask something that sparks something in you, or they may clarify something you do. Priscilla, thank you so very much for being with us today.
And thank you for having me.
Bobby, you're an awesome producer.
Yes, the best.
I do what I can, y'all. I do what I can.
All right. Listen, Ruth Boyd, thank you. Benjamin Brown, thank you. Martha Lee Robinson, thank you. Nastasia Hicks, thank you. Jackie McCright, thank you. Tamara Cagle, thank you. Andrea McGee, thank you. Gail Hunt, thank you. Tammy Kane, thank you. Lola, Carolyn, Tiffany, excuse me, Mikhail, just all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you tomorrow at 7, and let's be debt free
in 2023.
That's right. That's right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.